You're listening to Glove Up or Shut Up on the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
And welcome everybody to another episode of Glove Up or Shut Up right here on AngryMarks.com. My name is Peter H. I'm joined once again by my co-host from Omaha, Nebraska, Stevie J.
The $64,000 question, was Woodley Thompson 2 a draw? I put it to you, Peter H.
Man, we're going to start with this?
Yes, we're going to start with that because it's the one thing everybody's talking about. 10-8, 5th round, you could score it a draw.
It's hard for me to give 10-8 scores.
Here's the argument, though.
A
10-8 round is when a fighter comes so close to finishing it that it's obvious it could have been stopped but wasn't. I think that 5th round, you can make the 10-8 argument.
I don't know, man. I had it 48-47 for the champ.
Okay, you're satisfied with that? I can live with that too, but I'm saying there is that argument because I can go 48-47 based on 1, 2, and 4 for Woodley and 3 and 5 for Thompson. But that 5th round, you could go 10-8 Thompson. That's all I'm saying.
Let's put it this way. We're not going to get a third match for these guys anytime soon.
I think 2 times is enough, and honestly, the first fight was better than the second. There was a lot of nothing going on in the second.
What was it, like 14 punches combined in that round?
Yeah, but let's just say that Woodley may have landed more, but when Thompson landed his, he made him count.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think who's next for the welterweight title, because Thompson, I mean, he's not going to get a third shot right away, so do you give Thompson another opportunity for another number one contender shot, or like he's proven himself that it's not like he got steamrolled or anything?
No, he's had 2 extremely close fights now with T. Wood, but like you said, giving him a third shot immediately doesn't make sense, especially when you got Damian Maia chomping at the bit. Robbie Lawler's going to come back at some point for another fight. And you got guys like Condit and Magny in the mix just waiting for their shot, so you got to go to somebody else at this point, and Damian Maia seems like the best choice to me.
Yeah, I could see that, but it won't be anytime soon. I would say August, September?
Yeah, I think the champ needs a little time off.
Yeah, he's earned it for sure. 5 tough rounds against a quality opponent like the Wonder Boy. Yeah, you take a couple months to rest and recoup and train for the next one.
Mm-hmm.
No need to rush that fight for sure. Now, as far as let's just start with 209. We'll do some news later on, but we have UFC and Bellator to discuss from last week, and we got to preview this weekend's Fight Night card. But let's go to 209. And,
and let's go to what's not at 209, because Habib did not make weight.
Yep, he was hospitalized the day of the weigh-ins, and Stevie, you even messaged me with, a half hour to go, and he still wasn't on the scale.
Yeah, it was becoming high drama because Ariel Hawadi was doing the live stream for the weigh-ins, and every time somebody walked into the room, he's like, are we going to get an answer? Is this guy going to tell us what's going on? And then it would be like, nope, we're still waiting.
And this leads to the old argument we've had on the show over and over again, Stevie. If you're having trouble making weight and you have to be hospitalized due to weight cutting, are you in the right weight class?
That is arguable, and here's what I understand from listening to what Dave Meltzer had to say on this subject. Habib was cutting from well over 180 and got down to 162, and that's when his body quit. Now, let's look at that statement very closely, because this is a 155-pound interim title fight. He was over 180 and only got as close as 162. And this is a guy who normally fights at 155, so that is problematic. That suggests to me that maybe he's not at the right weight class. But the problem with that theory is that nobody's at the right weight class then, because they're all doing this.
But they're all not being hospitalized. Now, do you think the earlier weigh-in times has an effect on these missed weights we've been seeing?
Oh, I would say it definitely does. People have argued both sides of this coin. One side of the coin is it's safer for the fighters if you do it earlier because they have more time to rehydrate. But the other side of this coin is if they have more time to rehydrate, they're going to try to cut even more weight. So it's probably not doing any good. It's just increasing the amount of guys who are going to try to get too big and cut too much.
We've seen this before, and we see guys who give up trying to cut ridiculous weight, so the big dog in the small pond, or big fish in the small pond. But if they go to their normal weight class, they're just an average fighter, but they're amongst their weight class, and they excel because they're of the talent they have. Look at, I don't know, Rumble Johnson.
Or, more recently, Johnny Hendricks.
Yeah, that's one fight, though.
Yeah, well, if he does well at the weight class going forward, then we can say it was a good idea.
Yeah, but I think Rumble Johnson's more apt because he's actually fought for that weight class's title.
I think that's fair, but Rumble used to make some seriously stupid weight cuts before he went up to 205.
Let's see what happens with Nurmagomedov, because it's one of those situations where what do you do with him? Because you have to make a fight with him soon, because I didn't know this, but he doesn't fight in the summer months due to either personal or religious beliefs.
Yeah, he is actually a very devout religious Muslim man, so he has specific requests regarding that. In fact, in one of the UFC video games, they had him making the sign of the cross because the animators didn't realize his religious background, and he's like, no, you patched that out of the game. That's offensive to me.
Well, that's
He got bad. Very testy about that, and understandably so. That's a little bit rude to have somebody making the sign of the faith of another religion when that's not their religion. I mean, I understand that they have like a stock set of assets for animating fighters after they win a fight, but they should have been a little more careful.
Should have done the X sign that Chuck Liddell did. Give him that one instead. I don't know. It's just, I mean, he still has that wicked win streak. It's a shame when you have a fighter that you don't want to say he's a part-time fighter, but if you're taking more than a month or two or 3-4 months out of the schedule just because of your religion.
Well, you're making a bigger deal out of this than I feel it really deserves to be. No offense, but if you're taking 4 months off for a holy pilgrimage, most fighters fight 3 times a year if they're top level fighters anyway, so you wouldn't be fighting any more than every 4 months, so why is it really a big deal?
I think it's a big deal because you only have a finite amount of time before he takes his break. And when he comes back, you can't hijack that weight division.
Well, then maybe
he's going to drop in the rankings. He has to.
You might just have to do something else with him until he can safely make the cut to 155. Like, if he's had a camp and he's recovered from his dehydration, then he can have like a 170-pound fight in the meantime and then go back to 155 when he comes back.
I think you give him Eddie Alvarez.
Yeah,
but you drop him in the rankings. You put Nurmagomedov down to 5. He should at least get passed by Ferguson.
I think you can argue that since Ferguson made the weight and would have fought, you can make that argument.
And they did offer Johnson as a last-minute replacement, but it wouldn't be for the title shot, and he goes, no title, no fight.
Right. I, again, can't place any blame on Ferguson for that. He did what he was supposed to. His opponent did not, so if he wants to wait until he's actually fighting for the interim or the real thing, that's fine by me. That's his choice. I respect it.
Okay, so let's just say for sake of argument, Ferguson takes the number 1 spot. He's going to be fighting for the interim title. Since you have to rush Nurmagomedov, I'd like to see him fight before he takes his break. Give him Eddie Alvarez. That makes a fighter 2 versus 3. And Dos Anjos, you give him Ferguson for the number 1 contender shot.
I can see the merit in all of this, and I can also quite honestly say it doesn't even matter. If you don't have another fight for Khabib before he goes off on sabbatical, then don't. Because I don't think, I mean, I'm a Khabib fan. I think you're probably a Khabib fan. You can tell me if you're not, but
I am.
I don't know if Khabib needs to fight that badly that, like, oh my God, every single person has to see Khabib fight. It's like, okay, this added to a card, but I don't think it subtracts from another card. I don't think the lack of Khabib on a card will be the reason people decide to buy or not buy tickets.
I just have a problem with him taking a huge break and staying the number 1 contender.
Again, I understand where you're coming from. If you want to make the argument that Ferguson moves up because Khabib is inactive, okay. But honestly, I just don't think you can drop him more than 1 spot unless he gets beaten by somebody.
Well, what is the co-main event now, Stevie, with that fight being canceled there?
We had David Teemer and Lando Venata.
One-sided butt kicking.
30-27, although it's not for lack of trying on Venata's part. He was whirling as a dervish in there.
You like saying that.
Why not? It fits. He was, somebody else called it the indie guy who does a lot of flip moves and kicks and tries to pop the crowd. That was Lando Venata here. He was trying to go out there and be spectacular.
Trying to be Teddy Hart?
I guess so.
Daniel Kelly beat Rashad Evans 2-1, but it was a split decision.
Although, I have to say, I predicted before this fight that Rashad Evans was pretty much gatekeeper status at this point, and this was supposed to be his, I've got it all figured out now, I'm gonna be a star at middleweight and prove that I've still got it, and the fact that he lost a split decision says to me, no you don't, Rashad.
Well, I mean, that's probably, it has to be Kelly's biggest win of his career.
Absolutely. And
that's something that, if he can learn from this fight, from the victory, but I mean, he did lose on one of the judges' scorecards. He needs to take the positives from this experience, but also learn from it and move on and get better.
Amen.
Now, Cynthia Calvillo beat Amanda Cooper with a rear naked choke in 3:19 of the very first round.
Very impressive debut for Calvillo, fighting out of San Jose, making her first appearance for UFC as far as I know, and her fourth ever fight, and she won it. So not only that, but doing so with a rear naked choke is a really good way to make a statement like, hey, I know this seems like I came out of nowhere, but you better respect me because I'm Team Alpha Male and I'm a badass, so don't fuck with me.
Yeah, they don't, there's no weak links on Team Alpha Male.
Not really.
And the kickoff the main card, Alistair Overeem beating Mark Hunt with a knee at the 144 mark of the third round. It looked like Hunt had an injury early in the first round.
Yeah. It was believed to be a broken tibia, but afterward, when he had his post-fight transport, he got the evaluation and it was not broken, just really, really bruised. But there was a lot of blood in this fight, so...
Oh, God, yeah.
You can be blamed for thinking that maybe he had something hemorrhaging based on the amount of blood loss.
But it was something where you knew this fight wasn't going to the judges, but at the start of the third round, I was like, oh, God, please let's have a finish.
Yeah, with Overeem and Hunt, that's the kind of fight where you absolutely want a finish. You don't want a judge's decision. No.
No, we had a few finishes, though, on the prelims. Marcin Tybura beating Luis Henrik with a knockout at 3:46 of the third round. And Uri Alcantara beating Luke Sanders, submission with a knee bar at the second round at 3:13.
It's Alcantara and Sanders that I'm thinking of, and Elkins and Bektik. Those two are the fights that are almost the same.
So what's notable about this fight is the girlfriend of Luke Sanders was in the crowd.
That's right, Becky Lynch.
And he was winning this fight, and then he just put his leg out there, and he got caught. Like, it happens.
Which I found hilariously ironic, because Sanders had been deducted 1 point for an illegal knee, and what did he tap out to? A knee bar. It's kind of like Alcantara was making a point.
I wonder if Becky Lynch's next match will lose by knee bar.
Ooh, yeah, you might wonder that.